The portals of enlightenment have opened, and your journey of mind, body, and spirit has begun. Welcome to Portals to Enlightenment. And now your host, psychic medium and traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and medical Qigong radio show personality, as well as member of the Asian American Journalist and Media Association, Psychic Medium Cheri.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Portals to Enlightenment, the journey of body, mind, and spirit. And I'm Cheri, Psychic Medium Cheri. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to let you know that we're on a weekly podcast, and we are moving. First of all, we are moving from Saturday. We're moving on the 16th, January 16th. We're going to be moving to a Tuesday at 5:30. We're going to start podcasting then. So we are going to be there, and you can listen on your way, drive back home, or you can listen before you go to bed. But I felt that was a better time. So beginning January 16th, we're going to be going in and changing the time for Portal to Enlightenment at 5:30, which is next Wednesday. And I just want to let you guys know tonight we have a very special guest. She's just a wonderful soul, and her name is Maria Wilson-Duff. Excuse me, Maria Wilson-Duff. She's been working in the banking industry. We're going to talk about finances, and that might be something that we all can benefit. The subject will be tonight is how to manage money on a day-to-day basis. She's been in there for 23 years, and also she is a paranormal investigator. So I want to welcome, and she's also a co-host with my radio show, Paranormal Horizons. So I want to welcome Maria Wilson-Duff. Maria,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good, Cheri. How are you?
Very good.
That hyphenated name kind of messes everybody up.
That's okay, and I don't have my notes. So I'm just going on my memory. It's like, okay, I got to remember this.
Well, you did very well.
Oh, my gosh, girl. So we're going to talk about finances, and like I said, my show is more of a variety. I don't want to just stick to the paranormal like I'm Paranormal Horizons, but I want to have a little bit of variety for everything that can cover, and anybody that wants to listen in for half an hour, hey, you can listen, like I said, on your drive home, on your way to to somewhere, or going to bed or whatever. So I want to keep it really short and very, very appealing to hopefully our listeners. But anyway, so you've been in the banking industry for over 23 years, and we're going to start out. What can you suggest to people that don't know anything about savings, or what kind of things you can suggest for people beginning to start looking in the future?
Keep up with your money. That is something that just blows my mind, is that as long as I've worked at a bank, the one thing, the biggest question I get all the time is, what's my balance? It's real easy to keep up with it, It's addition and it's subtraction, but apparently there's a lot of people that don't know how to do this. The generation now doesn't keep up with their money. They don't know if they've got $20 left. They don't know if they have 2 cents left. They just spend. They just grab that card and they swipe it. Or now you have to stick it in. Sorry, we have a chip. But my biggest suggestion is, and I know it's a pain in the butt, but get a checkbook register. When you have a deposit, when your money goes into your checking account, write it down on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a little book. Just write it down on a piece of paper. And if you spend $5, subtract that. Guess what? That means you have, if you put $200 in, you've got $195.
Are you finding, Maria, that now, since you've been in the banking industry for so long, are you finding as a whole, since people use debit cards, are people, what is it called, where you overdraft? People are overdrafting their account more so than they are in the old-fashioned keeping up with the register and everything?
Yes. The new generation, they just have a debit card. They don't use cash, and they just swipe the card until the card doesn't allow them to purchase anything anymore. And at the time, ATMs and banking software now is a little bit more sophisticated than what it was several years ago. It was about 24 hours behind. So you would go shopping on the weekend, and then Monday morning you were overdrawn horribly because nobody kept up with how much money they were spending. So then the NSF charges, the non-sufficient funds fees, started hitting. And then at the time during the Obama administration, they did a federal regulation to where that a person had to opt in, was what we called it, for the bank to be able to charge them. And a lot of people don't know this, but the bank that I work for, the customer has to sign a piece of paper stating that we are allowed to charge them an overdraft fee when they use their debit card. Now, there's pluses and negatives to this. Not allowing the bank to charge you that NSF fee if you overdraw your account using your debit card can keep you from being able to buy gas at the pump. So it's if you've got $10 in your account, you would need $8 in gas. If your card can't read that predetermined amount that the gas pump is looking for, then you won't get gas at the pump. So it's all messed up and it's all different. And like I said, federal regulations, that's just a whole different show on itself. We'll talk about that some other time.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
But this generation, it just seems like they don't know how to keep up with their money. And I say this generation, I see it through the elderly too. Social Security has either pushed them to get direct deposit or put their money on a debit card. And if they don't keep up with that, then they don't know what money they've spent. But my suggestion is just write it down. Get a checkbook register. Keep up with your money that way. And I know it's a pain in the butt to sit down and have to write down everything you've spent and then subtract your money. But it's amazing the amount of money people waste. They just give to the bank because they wanted a $5 cheeseburger. They had $2 in their account. They swipe their card, and then they're charged anywhere between $35 to $50 on an NSF charge. That cheeseburger just cost you $55. Nothing is worth that much money. And people, I see it every day. I have seen people, they are charged $200 a month in overdraft fees. That's $2,400 a year. That's crazy. Don't do that to yourself. Keep up with your money. And if you can't keep up with it in a checking account, withdraw the cash. Then that way you're looking at the physical evidence of what you're spending. And when you're running out, there is no more. Do not pay the bank to use their money. And that's basically what you're doing. When they charge you, if you've overdrawn your account, they're charging you a fee because they have paid that item for you, but they're charging you. And it's outrageous. Banks make all kinds of money on overdraft fees. And the sad part is that the customer will get upset because the bank has charged them that fee, but you've just spent money you didn't have, and the bank covered it, so you didn't have to go without. So it's that mentality that's going on. It's like, oh, well, the bank's making all kinds of money off me. No, we're covering your hind end as far as the banking industry. Just quit wasting your money. Keep up with it. And I know that's a hard speech to swallow, but if you've only got $2 in cash, you can't spend $5. So if people can't keep up with their money as far as a debit card, then they need to spend cash. Another big suggestion that I have for people is put money in a savings account, because you never know what's going to happen. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount every time. If you put $15 to 50, to whatever you can afford back a month, or every time you get paid, every 2 weeks, every week, just keep that money back and don't touch it. Because if you have a flat tire or something, tires are not cheap. But if you've been putting money back, you'll have money to pay for that. That may mean that you can't go to the movies that week or something like that. But you need to have a savings account. It's just the rule of thumb is at least 3 months of your salary you need to have in a savings account in case something happens to you. A big emergency would call for 6 months because, things happen. Car wrecks, and you have physical therapy and things like that. And a lot of people don't have long-term disability in their jobs. But that's a big thing that you need to think about is putting money back to cover yourself, to pay your rent, to make your house payment, car payment, insurance. There's a lot to think about. If we walk around and we're healthy 1 minute and boom, the next minute you've had a stroke, you've had a car wreck, something really medically wrong has happened to you. And then here you are stranded with no grocery money. You can't pay your rent. And you're scrambling, trying not to lose where you're living when you really need to be focused on getting better.
Absolutely. Wow, that's crazy. I feel so sorry for people like that when they put themselves in that position, but I guess they, sometimes they don't think or they don't have the means, and it's really difficult, especially, I live in Oregon, and where you are, I don't know how it is, but it's a lot of people are just living from paycheck to paycheck, and it's very, very difficult at times. Maria, you don't know how many people I know personally, I don't need to go and do the register. I got enough money to cover my bills. That's what they think, I got enough money to cover my bills. So you don't deal with the check register.
That's correct. And not only that, nobody saves money anymore. It's like if they've got it, they have to spend it. If you've got 50, I've seen people they pay their bills and they have, say, $300 to last them 2 weeks. They think they have to go out and spend it all. No, don't do that. You can do without all the stuff that you think you have to have. You don't have to have the best of everything. You can wear the same clothes for several years unless you've gained a lot of weight or lost weight. I understand that does happen. Mm-hmm. But nobody spends anything. They have to think that they have to have the latest gadget. I don't know. It's more of a self-discipline type thing. And I don't want to say that everybody's that way. There are a lot of financially responsible people. But it just seems like, and there's not a lot of people, like you said, they live paycheck to paycheck. It's just sometimes you can cut those corners. Pack your lunch. Because, if you buy breakfast and lunch out every day, say that's $20, $25 a day, look how much money you've spent in a week when you can go to the grocery store and get a loaf of bread and lunch meat or something like that and save that money. Put it aside. Even if you put like $25 aside a month, say you wanted a college fund for your child. Mm-hmm. You've just had a child. If you put $25 back a month and never touch that, think about how much money you would have. It's not going to be a huge amount, but it's better than nothing. And depending on your salary, you can get grants for kids to go to college. You can get student loans, but you really, really need to start to save money, especially towards your retirement. You can borrow money to go to school on for your kids, but you can't borrow money for your retirement. So a lot of people just need to learn how to cut back. even if it's $5, $10, $15 a week. You can do it. And if you stash that money back somewhere in a shoebox, or if you want to stick it in a savings account, you'd be amazed at how much money at the end of the year that you'd have. And it's more than what you think it would be, especially if you needed it.
So what would you suggest of a person putting money? Should they put it in like like you were talking about savings, or should they think about maybe a money market account or anything like that? Or is it just keep it simple, just put it in a savings account? Is that what you would suggest for our listeners?
Sure, just keep it simple. If you've got it in a savings account, things like that, it's more liquid and it's right there. And it's not a whole lot of a problem to transfer it from one account to the other, and a lot of people can do that at the ATM. But a lot of people do better if you just automatically have it deducted out of your paycheck before you ever get it, then that way you don't see it. I hear that a lot.
Oh, wow.
So you can, a lot of times with your payroll companies, you can tell them, I want to put $20, and you can send it to a whole different financial institution than where you do your normal banking. If you need to hide money from yourself, then do that. And because it'll help you out tremendously. When I get my paycheck, I've got 3 different accounts that I try to stick money into. I've got the company I work for has a retirement plan, but you don't need to sink all of your money into that one plan. You need to have something separate. A Roth IRA is perfect. And then you can also have a different savings account too. And you don't, like I said, you don't have to put a whole lot in it. Just keep sticking something back and don't touch it. Extreme emergencies, yes, and use it. But that's what it's there for, and you'll be very glad that you had it if something was to come up.
Yeah, you never know what comes up. You think that everything's, you're going to be okay and you're going to live a long time. But like you said earlier, you never know what happens, and you want to be prepared just in case.
Oh, definitely. And even when it goes to buying a vehicle or something, save up and get a down payment. Don't buy a brand new vehicle. Never, never, never buy a brand new vehicle.
And why is that?
Because the minute you drive it off of the lot, you are already upside down. You already owe more than what that vehicle is even worth. If you get a vehicle that's at least a couple of years old, it's already depreciated quite a bit. Save up a down payment for that. If you can put 20% down on a vehicle, if something was to happen, because everybody knows if you wreck your vehicle and you've not put a down payment and your payments are stretched out for 5-6 years, you owe more money than what it's worth. So if your vehicle's totaled, your insurance is only going to pay what the vehicle is worth. Well, then here you're stuck with anywhere to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 more that you still have to pay off. So then you end up having to put that money on a loan for a new vehicle another vehicle you're having to replace. So it's a vicious cycle. It just keeps going. If you can, save up, it's hard. That's just like buying a house. If you can save up 20% to put down on a house, you're going to get a better mortgage rate, and you're not going to have to be struggling so hard with your payments. So that's another thing to think about. It's hard for kids, you're just getting out of college. You've got a degree, you're trying to find a job. You're trying to find a place to live if you don't have a place. So you're trying to find something, and you have to determine what you think your salary is going to be in order to start saving for your retirement, for the future, for houses. There's so much to think about when you are just getting out on your own. And a lot of kids are not taught that. You don't know. I mean, your insurance, you need really good insurance. It's hard, but we just don't teach our kids to save money. And that's something that we really need to start doing.
I think they should teach that in school.
Yeah.
The economics, you know.
Well, they did that when I was in school. And I can remember they taught you how to keep a checkbook register. Of course, that was years and years ago. But, and you know, just the simple things. How much you think you base your annual salary, say, like, I think times 3, and that should be the amount of a home that you're looking for. So if you made $30,000 a year, then you should do okay with a $90,000 home. I don't know if that would hold up these days.
These days, I know.
Because that's about 30 years ago. I could probably tell you it doesn't, but
it doesn't. So she can go to California.
Oh, wow. But you know, and it's just if you can just save money and just don't touch it. I can remember years ago, like I said, back when I was in college, I heard something on the radio about if you started saving $300 a month from the time that you're 18 years old, when it comes time for you to retire, you should have $1 million. Well, $1 million right now is not going to go that far.
No, it's not.
Not like it used to. But still, I mean, and you just think about it. And of course, if you want to talk to a financial advisor or somebody, I mean, there's always investment people that can show you how to invest your money and it works smart for you. But just as far as monthly expenses, I know you've got it and it's right there and it just burns a hole in people's pockets, but just don't spend it. Just stick it in a jar, cookie jar, or a shoebox, or, you know, hide it from yourself. Put it in your savings account and just forget about it. That's the best way in the world to take care of yourself because, you know, like I said, your car always needs tires. The oil always needs to be changed. You're going to get sick and going to have to go to the doctor. I mean, these are just things that happen. And if you don't have that extra money to take care of it, then you're going to be doing without when you shouldn't need to be.
Wow. That's too bad. I hope that people can, you know, really take heart in what you're saying because, you know, it's really important to look at your future, not only be at the present, but also look towards your future for not only for yourself, but also for your family and those around you. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, you definitely have to take care of your children. And that's hard for a lot of people. I mean, there's people who just make minimum wage and it's pretty rough, but I mean, Cheri, you know me, I've been working 3-4 jobs since you've known me.
That's right.
And I've got a full-time job, but that doesn't pay all of my bills, you know, and I've got a farm and that, Lord knows you sink more money in a farm than you make most of the time, but just pick up an extra job or two. I mean, I know a lot of ladies that work 40-hour-week jobs and that evening or on the weekends pick up a house to clean. That's anywhere between $40 to $75 depending on the size of the house, and you can take that and put that away every week. And, man, that's a lot of money by the time that the year's over with.
That's true. That's really true. That really accumulates. Very much so. So can I ask you, and just as this came out of the whip, do you think that the spending habits between, I'm not being biased or anything, but do you think that the spending habits between men or women are different?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And unfortunately, women, it takes more money for women because women have to, they take more products, makeup, to look professional when they go to work. Makeup, your hair has to be a certain way, you know, you usually, like where I work, the dress code is a little different than most places. It's professional. So you have to you have to look your best. Men can shampoo their hair with a bar of soap and then they're out the door, We got to buy shampoo, conditioner, gel. You got to have your curling iron or your flat iron. It just, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
Well, I was reading an article that, they are very biased as far as what the gender, men's products, whether it's not laundromat, but dry cleaning compared to women's is far less expensive. Haircuts far less expensive compared to women. So when you look at the two genders, it's not almost fair.
It's not. And whoever came up with that knew what they were doing. Because there's places, just for women who color their hair, my gosh, it's up to $100 every time that they step into the salon. So can you imagine?
And that's not including tip.
Exactly. So, and then you've got to have everything that goes with that. So, but
nails.
The nails. Yeah.
Nails. Tanning.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well,
perms. Remember the perms?
I remember the perms. Wow. Those were pretty wild.
Those are like $75, $100 a shot too. The longer the hair, the more it costs.
Yeah, if you had to get 2 perms in your hair, they charged you per box.
Yeah, exactly. And the spiral was really expensive. I heard, when I used to perm my hair, they said, the spirals were more expensive because of not only the type of processing, but it's just different in the way they permed it. So, you had to pay an arm and leg for that. Wow.
Yes. So now it's just the coloring of the hair and everything. So it's not fair, and I guess that's why most men are the ones that open up these salons, because they know where the money's at.
Oh, wow.
That'll give you something to think about.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you. It's great to know a little bit more about finances and things like that, and getting a savings and, thinking about your future. It's just simple, but a lot of people, we live in a very consumerism society, and all we do is sometimes, not speaking for myself or most people, but some people, they feel like they have to buy and keep up with the Joneses. But, as they say, the Joneses can be very poor, too.
Yes. Yeah, the Joneses aren't as rich as you think they are, because they're trying to keep up with the Smiths down the road. So
That's true.
It's kind of learning, just live within your means. If you don't have to have it, don't get it. It's not worth giving your money as a NSF fee to the bank. That breaks my heart every time I see it. Somebody will spend $2 and then they get charged $35. So whatever little $2 coffee or whatever they just bought cost them a whole lot of money. And then they're negative. They owe the bank money, and then when their deposit goes in, they're already less that amount of money. So it's a vicious cycle if you let it take you over. Just learn your boundaries, be responsible. If you can't keep up with your money, pull all the cash out and just spend cash. Then that way you're looking at what you've got, and once that's gone, it's it.
That's it. That's a good idea. I think they made that credit card, like little debit card or credit card, make it so easy. It is. It is. It used to not be. You don't have a debit card or a credit card. Well, yeah, you did have a credit card, but the debit card made it so easy with your purchases. It just.
Oh yeah, and people that don't keep up with it, because I know that I've had phone calls. It's like, well, my paycheck went in and I had $800 in there, and now I've checked my balance this Monday morning and there's only $200 left. What's happened? Did somebody hack into my account? And I start going over all of their purchases with them, and they're little purchases. They're $20 here, $5 there, and they just swipe, and never once thought about how much money. They just blew like $600 that weekend, nickel and diming themselves to death.
Wow.
So they had.
Go ahead. Can I ask you a question? What do you think about auto pay? What's your attitude about auto pay?
Auto pay is good if you keep up with it. If you know for sure you've got that money in your account and you know what day that it's going to come out, auto pay is pretty good. But a lot of people forget, and then they either think that they've already paid it. That, and that's something else. If you don't keep up with your balance, I've heard a lot of that. Well, I already thought that payment came out. No, if you keep up with your money, then you would know that it had not came out. Auto pay, a lot of times, if you tell them to pay it on the 15th falls on a Saturday or Sunday, it may not come out until the 17th or the 18th.
Wow.
So you've got to keep up with your account. It just all comes back to keep up with your money.
Very good. Very good tips, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And I hope our listeners can help maybe look at themselves and see where they're financially at and have some. There's probably, most of them are probably doing what you're saying, but there are those that say, what can I do to get out of debt, and what can I do to manage and keep control of the money? So these are very simple but very profound words of wisdom, and I really appreciate you, Maria, for helping and just spreading the word. So it's just common sense.
Yes, it all comes down to your basics: addition, subtraction. If you don't need it, don't buy it.
I know, it's crazy how, even just something simple, subtraction, everything's I'm so old fashioned. Everything is all on the computer, and it's like, nowadays, I'm going on a tangent, but nowadays people don't even count back change. They just give it to you. They look and say, oh yeah, you got $15.76, so they count it and they just give it back. And it's like, I'm going counting backwards to myself to make sure I have, the right amount.
Right, that's right. We're spoiled. Computers have spoiled us.
Oh my gosh. They teach you not to think sometimes,
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Okay, well, thank you again. And is there, if there's anybody that needs to get a hold of you, or it's up to you, but if they have any questions, can they somehow reach you, or they can get a hold of one of us, or how would you like to have that if they have any questions?
Sure, they can. I'm on Facebook under Maria Wilson-Duff. You can look me up there. That's about the only place that I'm publicly I can't even speak. That's the only public thing that I have. I don't have a website. I've got Twitter, but
any financial questions, you can ask Maria and message her, and she can get back to you.
There you go.
But hey, you guys, thank you, and thank you to our listeners. And I hope this might be helpful, and maybe something that, like I said earlier, that you already know, but it's good information. And we just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Take care. Thanks a lot. Hey, it's not, it's like my tagline. It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming whole. So each and every episode will help you maybe becoming whole, and being able to help you, educate you, to share information, to empower and inspire you. And I want to thank you very much for just listening in. Take care for next week, and I'll see you later. Peace.
The portal has closed for this week, but will reopen next Saturday when Psychic Medium Cheri returns with a new guest and another step in the journey of mind, body, and spirit. If you would like to find out more about Cheri or book a reading, you can do it on Facebook. Just look up Psychic Medium Cheri or at tinyurl.com/CheriWeb. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.